How do you use the Apple ecosystem to create content for the least money possible and the highest quality? Well, some of that lies in the fact that a lot of these tools you're going to have already or may acquire sometime soon. When I started YouTube, I used the webcam on my iMac. It was terrible. I think I've privated or unlisted most of those videos. I don't want anybody to see those videos. But since then, there's been this huge boom in products for people making content and doing the content creator thing. But sneakily, the iPhone and other devices have gotten very, very good at making really good quality video and capturing audio. So here are the things that I think that you need in order to create the videos that you want to create without having to go out and buy a lot of bespoke other equipment. So number one, you're going to need a computer. You can do it with an iPad, and I've found that to be more fiddly than not. But I think that if you went out and got a 15-inch MacBook Air, which I think with 16 gigabytes is probably about $17.99, or an M3 Pro, MacBook Pro, which starts at $19.99. Those are two computers that I think would work really well because they both have the potential for 16 gigabytes of RAM, which is absolutely what you have to have, bare minimum, if you're going to do any kind of video editing or audio production or anything like that. I don't care what anybody says about 8 gigabytes is as good as 16. It just get 16 and you'll be happy for longer. You also need to consider storage. I believe both of these models with 16 gigabytes come with 512 gigabytes of storage, which is enough, sort of, but there are ways around that. There are things that you can do. You can get an iCloud subscription, 2 terabytes for $10 a month storage, and then you can move things back and forth from your iCloud folder, which is actually what I do, and I find it to be a pretty decent way to do it. The only weird thing about using iCloud for video is that if you're using Final Cut Pro, for some reason, will not show you iCloud as a place that you can download from to put video into your project. So you have to kind of do a workaround and pull them in manually, which is kind of a pain and not really the way it's supposed to work, but it does work. The folks at Level 8 got in touch with me. They make Luggage. They didn't tell me anything about their product, and they said, tell us what you like about it. This is for holding down your stuff, your dirty underwear bag. Fully aluminum frame. This is where your clean clothes go. It's nice and soft, doesn't feel cheap. You got a place for stuff, and you got a place for wet stuff. When you close it up, clip, clip, and you can see it's got locking handle, button right here. Top handle. How does this thing withstand my normal packing routine? You ask me what I like about the Level 8 Luggage. It has latches, not zippers. I like that I can throw it around. It holds all my stuff without too much muss or too much fuss. Thanks again to Level 8 for sponsoring this video. Number 2, the 10th generation iPad, just straight up iPad with a basic Apple Pencil. You can get these things for $349, 64 gigabytes of storage, which isn't great, but you're not going to be really using your iPad to create a ton of content. And what you do create, if you use, say, programs for thumbnails or something like that, won't be that big a deal. Again, maybe the iPad is optional, but I think it's always good to have an iPad. You can have one here as a second screen. You can use one as a monitor if you're using your iPhone. You can monitor yourself with an iPad. I like taking notes and sort of just drawing out things that I'm thinking about on an iPad and then using it as my cheat sheet. I've got my iPad right here. The next thing you're going to need, and what I think is probably the most important, is an iPhone. And the iPhone 15 Pro is the one that I'm going to recommend. Now, Apple's phasing out the Pro models of the 15s right now because they just released the 16s, but you can still get deals at your carrier for these. I've seen deals for $5 a month on most carriers, and you can also go with refurbished or buy used or something like that. Amazon refurbished phones have always been really good for me, so I have had no problem with that. One of the workarounds that I think has made the iPhone a much more viable option for making content is they moved from Lightning, which was not a very fast data port, to USB-C, which is a very fast data port on the iPhone, which allows you to do a lot of different things. For one thing, you can pull stuff off of your iPhone much more quickly, but you can also attach USB-C peripherals and use them for extra storage. So you can tell your iPhone to go and record to an SSD hard drive. You can have a hub and use microphones. There's just all kinds of different things that you can do. You can charge your iPhone while you're doing these things. I have a whole video about using the iPhone 15 Pro Max as a content creation camera, and I'll link that down in the description so you can check that out. And all the links to everything that I talk about here will be down in the description. But suffice it to say that USB-C for me was kind of the game changer that made the iPhones possible to use more easily as a content creation device.
Editing Jason here, and I was going to do a section on using the AirPods as audio, and honestly, the AirPods didn't really sound all that great. I did some tests. They're not good. There are a bunch of different ways that you can get decent audio. You can use your iPhone and just use the audio from your iPhone. You can get a cheap shotgun mic like the one that I'm going to show you here in a second as I go through the setup that I'm using to record the video that I'm currently editing. You can get mics like this, the DJI Mic 2. You can get one of these for $100 that connect via Bluetooth to whatever device you're using, but you can also record on the device itself in 32-bit float recording, which that's a whole thing. That's another video. You can also, of course, use microphones like this if you're sitting at a desk, but that's not always the best way to go. If you want to be up and about, then you want to have a mic that you can take around with you. And so there are a bunch of different options and then ways to make them sound good, which I'm going to cover in a later video as well. This is the setup that I've been using to record this video. I just have a 1/4 black mist filter over the lenses to just take away a little bit of the harshness. And then I have this monitor up here that will show me what's on my phone screen. I've got an SSD right here. I've got a 4-port SSD dongle from Belkin. And then I have down here the Belkin plugged into the SSD. I also have the Video Micro here that I've been using to do this recording. And the Video Micro sounds pretty good, but if you want to keep it on the camera, you kind of get a little too far away from your source to get a good recording. But this is going from 3.5 millimeter to USB-C in the back here. And so here's your mic cable. Here is your SSD cable. Here is a charging cable for the iPhone. And it's just plugged in down here.
In my estimation, having used all this stuff for a long time, this is the best scenario for getting the best quality stuff out of your devices and not having to really break the budget on $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 cameras, et cetera, et cetera. These are things that you might already have and just haven't really thought about whether or not you could use them as the thing that you want to use to create content, because how could it be possibly that good? I'll tell you how it could be possibly that good. I'm recording on the iPhone 15 Pro Max right now. I've been recording on the iPhone 15 Pro Max for this whole video, using the Rode Video Micro, and you tell me what you think about the quality of the video. I'm impressed by what the most recent iPhones can do in terms of becoming actually professional tools, not just in name only. So, thanks so much for being here. Hit subscribe, come back for those other videos that I'm doing here in the next so-and-so however many weeks. This is going to be a whole series about stuff that you can use to be a content creator and use the tools that you have, or look into tools that'll make your life easier. So hit that subscribe button. Come on back and see me. Until the next time, I'm out.